me do these things, but they keep going at it. Anyway.
Okay, now we're good.
Vale, pues hola a todos, bienvenidos a este encuentro con Aiden, escritor de libros como Los chicos del cementerio, Las pruebas del sol o Perdidos en nunca jamás. Y bueno, os presento también a mi compañera Elena, que es quien se va a encargar de que esto sea divertido para todos y para todos los públicos, por favor. Y bueno, por último, yo soy Judith, también la editora de VR. Entonces.
Hi, Aiden.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is so exciting. I'm so happy to be here. I've never been to Spain, so this is my first time.
Moment, sorry.
What?
No, it's fine. I haven't asked. ¿Necesito traducción? Do we need translation? Perdón, necesitamos traducción. Perdón, sí, vale, okay. I should have asked if they need translation.
Oh,
But
yeah.
sometimes they don't.
Sí.
Que sí, vale, perdón. It's really early.
Welcome to EHD, Elena.
Vale. Que está muy feliz de estar en España, que es su primera vez y que gracias por venir. Got it. I'm on a roll now.
Killing it.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a bit about Las pruebas del sol and when did it come about and how did it come about?
Yeah, so this was like my pandemic book. So when I was very sad and hiding from the world, this is what I came up with. And for me, I grew up really loving Percy Jackson and the Olympians a lot. Such a good series, but it was hard for me to picture someone like me, so Mexican trans queer, in that story. So that was a big inspiration for it. And also the Hunger Games, because I love the Hunger Games. It's such a good book series. And I loved the competition. I'm also a really big anime nerd, so like My Hero Academia, if you have like a big tournament arc, I love that. So that was a lot of the big inspirations for it. Those are the big three. And it was, my escape book. It was, I had never written high fantasy before, and it's really hard, which I was just like, yeah, sure, this will be fine. So it's been a lot of learning and figuring out high fantasy works, because it's a very magical world, high fantasy, like I said, but also they have technology, so they have these big cities that are very advanced. So I had a lot of fun kind of incorporating those two things and like coming up with this brand new world. Especially one that's so like aggressively queer in like the best way possible. Like our main god, Sol, is non-binary, uses they, them pronouns. There's 10 competitors in the trials and 4 of them fall under the trans umbrella. So it was very freeing and a lot of fun to just be able to like, if I wanted a world in like the perfect idea of it, it would be, steeped in my Mexican culture and just be very, very queer.
Okay. Básicamente Las pruebas del sol es un libro de la pandemia, estaba muy triste en casa y tengo que hacer algo para... I'm screaming a lot, they get it. Tengo que hacer algo para escapar y se le ocurrió esto. Creció con los libros de Percy Jackson, pero le costaba verse representado al ser una persona de cultura mexicana, trans y queer, y entonces, claro, le costaba encontrar un desde. Entonces, mezclando esto con Los Juegos del Hambre, que obviamente es una serie de libros que le ha gustado mucho, y todo lo que tenga un arco de competición siempre le encanta. Es un otaku, muy fan del anime, entonces My Hero Academia, por ejemplo, también fue uno de los puntos, los 3 puntos que tenía por ahí. Y entonces ahí, pues eso fue lo que decidió, ¿no? Crear este libro. Era la primera vez que escribía lo que aquí llamamos fantasía épica, el high fantasy, y entonces eso le ha costado bastante descubrir cómo crear este mundo, porque además hay tecnología. Entonces, la idea de que hay unas ciudades impresionantes que tienen todo este componente mágico, pero también este tecnológico, y sobre todo haciéndolo agresivamente gay, en plan gay. Hay 10... Just putting a sprinkle.
That's what I meant in my heart, so yeah.
Hay 10 competidores y 4 de ellos caen dentro del aspecto trans. Por ejemplo, Sol le diose, entonces no binaria, y entonces, bueno, la idea para él ha sido crear un sitio en el que él realmente se pudiera ver representado y eso, que fuera todo lo gay que pudiera ser. Gay. We love it, we love it. Yeah, one of the things that I actually wanted to ask you about, and you just commented a bit on it, is just that I love how you made it have fantasy, but you also made it very urban, and it feels like really new and really cool. So, was that the idea from the start, or?
It definitely was, because like when I was like thinking of this book in general, I was like, I really don't want to do a high fantasy where it's like pastoral is what we call it, so where it's like set in the past and whatever. Because one of my favorite things about young adult books when I was growing up, and especially Percy Jackson, is that it's so easy to picture yourself in that world because it's so similar to ours. So that was a feeling that I really wanted to have when I was writing Sunbearer. So I was like, all right, it's going to be high fantasy, but it's going to have a lot of technology, and there's a lot of references to like contemporary technology, like Instagram and TikTok and that kind of stuff. And I remember when I was like writing it into the book, I was like, some people are going to find this really irritating, but I'm going to have a great time writing it, so I don't care. So that was, it was kind of just fun to decide how I wanted the world to look like. And I just wanted it to be like, I mean, obviously it has problems. They kill kids every 10 years. That's not great. But I wanted it to really kind of be reflective of a really cool city that I would want to live in, like if I had the option, minus the sacrifice and murder.
Una de las cosas más guays de este libro, yo cuando lo leí, es el tema de que es fantasía épica, pero tiene mucho un toque urbano, y le he preguntado cómo surgió esto, y dice que es algo que se pensó desde el principio, que no quería que fuera una fantasía épica, digamos, al uso, lo que se llama pastoral, digamos un Tolkien, por ejemplo, porque él recordaba especialmente pues, en los libros de Percy Jackson que es muy fácil ponerte ahí, ¿no? Porque el mundo es muy real. Entonces él quería esto, entonces encontrar el punto en el que podía meter la tecnología, incluso poner cosas que le gustan, aunque a otra gente le moleste, como Instagram, TikTok, en referencias muy contemporáneas. Para él era importante y algo divertido, ¿no? Para sobre todo encontrar, o sea, una ciudad en la que él quisiera vivir, pero también en la que pudiera pasar todo esto tan fantástico. Entonces, el único problema de esta ciudad es que cada 10 años matan niños, pero bueno, nadie es perfecto. Nadie es perfecto. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll take that over Trump. Debatable, but it's too much political. Okay, so, y tal. Okay, so one of the greatest things, and I was thinking about this because of Percy Jackson and everything, is that so you have the gods and you have the big ones, just like, in Greek mythology, but you have like super cool ones, like Chisme, like it's my favorite. So can you tell us about the pantheon, how much is real, how much you dug up, and how much, how did that come about?
One of the first things I did when I was like, I'm gonna create a world with a whole bunch of new gods was like, I need to figure out how that works. So the Green brothers, especially Hank Green, they have a YouTube channel called Crash Course. And they have a whole series on Crash Course mythology, and I think there's like 34 videos or something like that, and I watched all of them over like 3 days, and it really was a crash course, just learning about how pantheons work and how they represent a culture, and not just like physically where it is, but also its ethics and morals and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, so I have my big gods, which are all the elementals, fire, water, that kind of stuff. But I really wanted it to be a reflection of my Mexican-American culture and my relationship to my culture. So, it was like having Chisme as someone, having Pan Dulce, who is like our goddess of the hearth and stuff like that. Mala Suerte is, our god of bad luck. So it was really fun just kind of incorporating those things, and it always feels like whenever I get to write about my culture, especially in a magical way, it feels like I get to like brag and show off like how just like naturally magical our practices and spiritual beliefs are. So that's probably the most fun part of writing my books, is that I really get to show off my favorite parts of my culture and integrate it into the world building in a really fun way. I loved it.
Una de las cosas más guays de aquí, que a mí también me gustó mucho, es el tema del panteón de los dioses, ¿no? Y que sí que, por ejemplo, están los grandes, ¿no? Como en la mitología griega, pero luego tienen dioses muy divertidos, como Chisme, que es el dios que está ahí tomando las noticias, que en plan, como el noticiero, básicamente sería el de Aquí hay tomate, o ¿cómo se llamaba el otro programa ese? El del Jorge... Sálvame. Sí. Chisme sería el presentador de Sálvame. Y le he preguntado que cómo creó esto. Y entonces dijo que claro, una de las primeras cosas es en plan cómo se crea un panteón, ¿no? Entonces fue a YouTube como buena persona que quiere aprender, y fue, no sé, los hermanos Grimm, John Green, que es autor de Bajo la misma estrella y tal, y su hermano Hank, que también es escritor, tienen una serie de vídeos que se llaman Crash Course, que te enseñan de todo. Crash Course History, Crash Course... Entonces hay un que es Crash Course Mitología, y hay no sé cuántos vídeos. Entonces se los trago todos en 3 días. That's ADHD as fuck, though.
Oh, yeah. Hyperfocus.
Para aprender todo, ¿no? Y entonces para ver en plan cómo, digamos, un panteón refleja no solo las partes físicas digamos, de una cultura, sino también las éticas, las morales, ¿no? Y entonces ahí, pues bueno, él ha querido pues un poco divertirse, entonces obviamente tienes a todos los dioses grandes, pero también tienes otras cosas, ¿no? Como mala suerte, chisme, pan dulce, o sea, para... poder, pues eso, fardar de su cultura, ¿no? Y decir, no es por decir, pero... I mean, Mexican culture is better than yours. No, pero decir, no, pero que está muy bien poder decir y poder exaltar otras culturas, porque... Y entonces es una de las cosas que más le divertió. No, but I think that's awesome though, because I mean, everyone knows about Greek mythology and it's cool, and that no one knows about the rest, so it's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun to just come up with my own, and it's so funny. It's interesting how, considering that the United States is very close to Mexico, how little Americans really know about Mexican culture or Latin culture in general. So it was fun. Yeah.
No, también eso, por la cercanía, pensarías que bueno, saben más, pero no, en Estados Unidos parece que solo saben de Estados Unidos. That's a whole thing. Anyway, so okay. Another question. Let's go back.
Before Elena jumps to another topic,
yes,
are there any new gods in Sunbear 2?
Do you want there to be? I'll put one in. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to... There's new gods that are referenced, but not necessarily ones that you meet. But we are going to go to new cities. So we're going to go to San Fuego, so Aurelio's home. We'll be there for a little bit. Yeah, and then we'll also go to Mala Suerte's city, and some others that are spoilers, so I can't tell you.
Okay, un momento de paréntesis. Okay. We did not see it coming. So when the thing...
Oh, at the end.
It was like, what? Also, what?
Yeah. There's...
Okay, people haven't finished. Some people haven't finished, so shh. But also...
I got angry.
She got angry. Yeah, she was like, yeah, because she finished before me, because she was adapting the Argentinian translation, and then she was like, what? Tell me. Like, no, I can't. It's like, tell me. And I was like, no. And then we were like at the office. I was like, no. It was like, yes. So that to say that amazing plot twist. Oh, it's not even. Who did you kill? It's not even about that.
Who did I kill?
Somebody has to die. I mean,
Somebody has to die.
Otherwise the world ends. So it's like it's built into the story. I don't know.
Bueno,
But thank you, because I am notorious among my friends for not being able to see a twist coming from a mile away. Like at all. So I worked really hard to try to get like a twist at the end of this book, and then when people are like, oh, I didn't see it coming, I'm like, I did it.
Dice que él es famoso con sus amigos que nunca pilla los plot twists, en plan eso que llevas en 15 minutos y dices, ya sé que es el malo. Él nunca lo pilla, entonces esta vez cuando ha encontrado a alguien que le dice, ¡buah, no me lo esperaba! Pues está muy orgulloso. You should be proud. I did not. I was like impressed, but also angry.
And there's a
impressed.
lot of secrets that I'm trying to keep about the sequel until it actually like is published. So there's a lot of exciting things.
Welcome to our flight tomorrow.
I'll just give you my rough draft. It's horrible right now, but
Bueno, recuperando la pregunta, I'm going to translate Judith's question about the second book. So, que si van a haber más dioses que no han aparecido, bueno, vamos a ir a otras ciudades, vamos a ir a San Fuego, que es la ciudad de Aurelio. Aurelio. Auristela needs therapy, though. But,
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of people need therapy. But, a la ciudad de Aurelio y pasaremos un tiempo...
They all need therapy.
Yes. They could get like a sponsor from BetterHelp or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're in the Sunbear trials, BetterHelp.com/.
Comes with 3 therapy sessions.
Bueno, pues entonces algunos dioses que se mencionan en el primer libro los veremos porque iremos a nuevas ciudades. Es otra cosa, recuperando los spoilers, hay bastantes secretos que se han ido forjando ahí que no quiere decir porque se revelan en el segundo. Okay, just not to characters, because you have 10 contestants.
Yeah.
Plus the parents, plus there's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of. I mean, it feels very much like a Latin, Spanish, whatever, like family dinner, where it's just 15 people, everyone yelling at the same time. That was very relatable. But yeah, how do you manage to create like 10 characters, give them their own thing, and you like read them and you can tell them apart, obviously, but you
I mean, that's a big part of it, right?
It's a big part.
Again, I did so many things in this book where I was like, oh, yeah, high fantasy, that can't be that hard. 10 main characters, that's fine. And it's so hard. It's funny because when I started, there's a lot of big fight scenes with all 10 of them there at the same time. My friend actually 3D printed me little tokens for each of them. So I would be like at my desk, I'd be like, all right, so they're here, they're there, and then this is coming this way. And because it's so hard to keep track of everybody and all of the movement. But also one of the first things I do before I write any book is Mars Lauterbach, who is my cover artist, I commission them to do character art. So I describe the characters to them and they always do these like beautiful illustrations of those characters. And so that's so important for me to keep track of like who everyone is and like I know what everyone looks like. Along with the tokens and moving things around. But yeah, I love doing character work. So the characters are usually the first thing that I come up with. And it was really fun just like coming up with really like 10 very distinct personalities. Merino is one of my favorite characters, who's the son of the goddess of water. I love him. He's like my big beefcake character. And then you have Teo, obviously, the main character, who is the trans son of Quetzal, who is the goddess of birds. And his best friend is Nia, who is my big herbo lesbian with a sword character. Like she's very kind, very sweet, and very goofy. And so she's really fun. And she's the daughter of the earth god. And then you have Aurelio, of course, who is fire, and his twin sister, Aristella, who is, so another big influence was Avatar, The Last Airbender, like, obviously. And I love Azula, but they were so, I hated what they did to her at the end of the TV series. So Aristella is kind of my response to that, because I love, I love a girl boss who like will do anything that she has to in order to win and make sure that her brother also gets through it too. So it was a lot of fun, just coming up with really big personalities, and it was great. It was great.
Obviamente una de las cosas es que, como ha dicho, hay 10 concursantes de las pruebas del sol y encima están sus padres, ¿no? O sea, hay muchísimos personajes, ¿no? Entonces le he preguntado cómo ha sido todo el trabajo de creación de personajes. Él dice que siempre empieza por los personajes, es lo que más le gusta, pero que obviamente ha pensado en plan, fantasía, no pasa nada, 10 personajes, no pasa nada, pero luego resulta que sí que... Entonces tuvo que un amigo le hizo unas fichitas de cada personaje para, claro, las escenas de acción poder hacer en plan, vale, este está aquí, entonces este tal, no sé qué, y
Es como jugar al Risk.
Así, pero además la persona que hizo las ilustraciones, Mars, que hemos hecho las postales, Aiden le comisionó para que hiciera las ilustraciones de todos los personajes para poderlos tener... ¿Todos? ¿Ya? ¿Ya? You commissioned
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Los 10 personajes y los 10. Que de hecho podéis... They're on your website.
Yeah.
En la web podéis ir y están los personajes y los dioses. Y está muy bien. Entonces, es muy guay porque tienen... que son las
I
postales que hemos
also
dado.
have a shop on my website where I sell the cards.
Exactly,
so.
yeah. Y entonces, sí. Entonces, alguien tiene las postales, ¿no? Las... Exacto, sí. Bueno, sí. Vale. No, yeah. We gave them away for the people who got them on the pre-sale. People who got them on the pre-sale. Yeah. And they're super cool. And it's really cool that you added like the video game. Like,
Yeah.
It's so cool.
The stats and everything.
Sí, exacto. Las... Oh, ¿qué pasa? Sí.
Yeah. Oh, look at them.
Yours.
Que no sé
Oh, they're beautiful.
No,
yeah.
son estas.
Oh, yeah. So here's 5 at a
Oh,
time.
no. This will be useful too because you were now talking about them. So,
There we go.
oh, yeah. Let's
You
see.
got a good. This is a really good stack that you got. It was like these are like the main characters.
Yeah.
Nice.
We chose that. So, like,
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
Entonces, bueno, una de las cosas ha sido pues crear a esos personajes. A él le encanta Marino, que es el hijo del dios del agua, que es así como súper soft y sensible y tal. Luego está, obviamente, nuestro protagonista, Teo, que Teo es... I'm just, like,
Oh yeah.
Teo es buenas intenciones, but like brain... like a bird
Yeah.
brain.
Oh yeah.
A little, yeah. Because it's like... Piensa, o sea, because you're reading the book and it's like, you need to stop and think. En plan tal. Entonces, Teo, su mejor amigo, que es la reina,
Yeah.
Boyera Queen. No, en serio. I'm bi, I can say it. No, es una boyera, es como un... Is there a female Jimbo saying, is there a way to say it?
Himbo.
Oh,
Or
Himbo.
Herbo. excuse me.
Herbo,
Yeah,
oh, Herbo. So, pues eso, es el personaje, es en plan, es súper soft, es como, ay, qué mona que es, o sea, es un solete. Y luego tenemos, obviamente, a Aurelius. No sé hacer el, I don't know how to do the pss, you know that sound.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Sizzle.
The sizzle, yes. Y entonces tenemos a Auristela, que es su hermana gemela, que, bueno, él obviamente como friki que es muy fan de Avatar, de Last Airbender, no la película, not the movie, right? No. Oh my God. La serie, entonces, obviamente hay un personaje muy querido que es Azula, y entonces esto era su respuesta, un plan, una girl boss que va a hacer lo que tenga que hacer para en plan ganar y que su hermano gane. I don't know if it turns out how she planned, but you know, she tries. She tries really hard. Bueno. And since we have the big 5.
Yeah.
Okay, 1. How do you pronounce this? Because Judith and I, we have...
Well, it can be Zio or Shio.
Yeah, oh,
It
Shio.
depends.
Yeah, we say Shio.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Catalan, and here we speak
Yes.
also, because it's soft,
Yeah.
so we go Shio.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Xio.
Yeah.
So Shio, tell us about Shio.
Shio is another jade. So there's 2, what would you call it? Types of gods and demigods. There's the golds, who are like the elementals, the very powerful ones. And then there's the jades, who are like lesser known, like Teo's mom, who's the goddess of birds. And Shio's dad, who is Mala Suerte, so the god of bad luck. And so usually it's only golds who are ever recruited to participate in the Sunbearer trials, but this year, there's a twist. There's 2 jades, so not just Teo, but also Shio. And Shio is 13. He's very young, and he's the son of the god of bad luck. So it's almost like he was chosen specifically to end up as the sacrifice. Yeah. So he teams up with Teo and Nia, and they're like, okay, well, we have to protect this child through these games, and they become very close friends. Yeah. Yeah, and he's also just like a massive nerd, like a big nerd. He collects all of the trading cards of all the heroes and stuff like that, so he knows everything about them, and was not expecting to suddenly be fighting against them. Poor guy.
Bueno, ay, pobrecito. Shio es un solete, ¿vale? Es el hijo del dios de la mala suerte. Entonces, como Aiden ha explicado, normalmente los que compiten en las pruebas del sol son los dioses dorados, ¿no? Que es la creme de la creme. Pero entonces también están los dioses Jade, que serían como de dioses más menores, como Teo, que es el dios, el hijo del dios de las aves, o sea, el hijo de la diosa de las aves. Perdón, qué tal, diosa. La diosa de las aves. Y entonces Shio, que es el hijo de mala suerte. Entonces, encima tiene 13 años, es un baby, parece que ha participado para perder. Entonces, claro, Teo y Nia dicen, pobrete. Ay, pobrecito, y van a cuidarlo, en plan, vamos a intentar arropar a este pobre niño y esto. Entonces, además es súper friki, es súper fan de todo el mundo, entonces, claro, imagínate, ¿no? Ahí teniendo que competir con la gente a la que admira, pero en plan, he's great, we love him.
Yeah.
Judith doesn't too much, but I love him.
What?
I mean, you have mixed feelings.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings.
That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying anything wrong.
We actually did a quiz.
Yes.
Which character
yeah.
of the Summer
Yeah,
Child
yeah,
are
yeah.
you?
Oh yeah. Which character of the December Charles are you?
I got Nia. I always
Oh,
did.
Nia.
That's cool.
Yeah.
She got Auristela?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I wanted Atsi though. But
Oh,
yeah.
Atzi's
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
And I got Adzi.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God, I want to tell you things about the sequel, but I can't.
What?
I mean,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And then you just tell me. Okay, so let's talk about. I mean, we have to.
Yes.
Have to talk about this. I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna point at this and you just talk.
Yeah. So Aurelio is when he was, still is, but when he was younger, they were friends because Teo saw how shy Aurelio was, and so he helped break him out of his shell, and they dreamed of going to the academy together. And the academy is this very fancy school where the gold demigods get trained to be heroes. They take care of everyone in the world. However, Teo is so little, he doesn't understand that it's only golds that can go and jades aren't allowed. So once he finds out that he actually can't go to the academy with Aurelio, he gets very sad. And there's a moment when they are, I think, 12, where Aurelio starts going to the academy and then stops talking to Teo. So it turns into a kind of a one-sided enemies to something more, because Teo holds such a big grudge against Aurelio, and Aurelio doesn't really understand that he made a mistake to begin with. And then there's a lot of banter, and they start working together a little bit. They team up some, and yeah, there's a lot of cute little chapters with just the two of them, and lots of cute little chapters in the sequel.
Bueno, obviamente, esto es nuestro ship, porque pi, ¿sabes? Ship until it sings. Y básicamente, entonces, Teo y Aurelio eran amigos de infancia, entonces los dos soñaban con ir a la academia, que es el sitio fashion, pero entonces Teo era tan tontito que no entendía que como él era jade, ay, pobrecito. Aquí diríamos, in Spain we have this thing like alma de cántaro, which means like when you say like, oh, you know, like what's the thing the southern people say?
Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah. So here is like alma de cántaro. So alma de cántaro. He thought like, oh man, maybe we'll go together. No. So then empezaron a ir y entonces claro, cuando tenían 12 años, Aurelio empieza a ir, entonces le deja de hablar, porque claro, él no va a la academia fashion y entonces claro, entonces él se cabrea mucho y dice, enemies, te voy a hacer la cruz y tal, pero en realidad igual hay un poco de misunderstanding. Este también es un poco tonto, because like, he's like muscles, but like, pero
Yeah.
no. Entonces, claro, que no ha pensado que puede estar el otro herido. Entonces, claro, empiezan en plan de que este está enfadado, la típica cosa de no te estoy. Pero, claro, luego se van viendo cosas, el roce, you know, like, el roce hace el cariño, you know, like, yeah. This is actually a really cool phrase. So, roce is like to present to something. From roce comes like affection or something. So el roce hace el cariño. So, so
Yes,
they start,
yes.
Yeah, so they start like riffy-rafe. That's not like technically Spanish, that's just me.
No, that's good.
Y entonces, bueno, entonces hay muchas escenas monas entre ellos y en el segundo también más y brrr. Okay. So, another thing that this is so amazing. Another thing that I was actually curious about is that in a way it feels YA and fresh and stuff, but also like the stakes are high.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so one lives, the other one has to be sacrificed. Is it spoiler to say who has to do the sacrificing or not? Can we not say? Is it like, is it? I mean, I think like that's just upping the stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't say who the sacrifice
No,
is.
I'm not gonna say. But it's like, okay, so this is like very cute, and of course, like it's very Hunger Gamey, but it's also like very Percy Jackson-y.
Yeah.
Is that another way you can say it? But then you get like, oh no, someone has to. So everyone competes, and then someone has to die, and that's you know, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it's funny because this whole story is very much me kind of unpacking American exceptionalism, which is this idea in America, it's like, oh, we want that one person who can rise above it all and who becomes, and even in our books too, like I think, there's several books, but where it's like, oh, here's this chosen one who has this special purpose, and so they should be in charge of a whole like government or like people, and I'm always like, no, that's a 16-year-old. They should not be in charge, or like they don't know enough to suddenly, you know, become the head of a society or something like that. So for me, it was really important to kind of unpack that and push against it because it's such a common theme in America, not just like within our books, but also just kind of socially. When in reality, what we should be doing is focusing much more on community and community building and how like the people who can best serve a community are people who actually live in that community and know those people. So the kind of the whole arc of the story is really kind of unpacking and pushing back against that. And I wanted to do it in a way where I didn't want to be disrespecting my ancestors because, you know, sacrifices are something specifically Aztec culture that happened. So I never wanted to disrespect that. So I want to acknowledge the cultural and spiritual significance of sacrifice, but like, what does sacrifice mean and who should be making those sacrifices is kind of what we're exploring during the book. Yeah.
That was awesome. Bueno, he empezado la pregunta porque, o sea, el libro es como, parece fresco, parece un poco Percy Jackson y tal, sí que tiene el componente este, pero luego, o sea, ves que al final, digamos, es harto porque uno gana las pruebas y entonces el que pierde tiene que ser sacrificado. Y encima es el ganador el que tiene que pelarlo, ¿sabes? O sea, que claro, o sea, que si lo piensas es algo como muy fuerte para una historia. Entonces, que de dónde ha salido esto, y para él ha sido como una crítica del concepto de la excepcionalidad americana, ¿no? Esta cosa de una persona y que suba ahí es como el salvador y que puede arreglarlo todo y no sé qué. Entonces él, pues eso, y también de verlo en libros, ¿no? El típico libro donde está el elegido, que es súper especial y que tiene las de esto para hacerlo todo, pero luego lo ves y dices que es un niñato de 15 años, que no sabe hacer nada. O sea, a ver, por favor, ¿quién ¿qué vas a hacer que dirija un país, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, pues eso, la idea de combatir contra esta idea de decir que lo mejor para una comunidad es la comunidad y que alguien de esa comunidad siempre será la que tendrá en perspectiva lo que es mejor para su gente y no un tío que venga de fuera porque muy chachi pistachi fue a Yale y no sé qué más. O sea que básicamente esto. That was super smart. Anyway. Okay, so now we've got to the stupid portion of this interview.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Yes. I mean, like, no, because we got high, so now it's just like, yeah. So, stupid portion of this. Okay, so, you have to choose one of your characters.
Oh, God.
To do stuff with.
Okay.
Okay, so
All
I'm going to
right.
tell you.
Okay.
Okay, who goes to the dentist with you?
The dentist.
Yes. To get like a root canal or something, to get something
Marino.
hardcore. Yeah.
Marino. Because I feel like he would hold my hand and
okay.
I would feel very reassured in his presence.
Claro, exacto. ¿Con quién sería el dentista que le hicieran un plan, pero una endodoncia de esas hartas? Pues con Marino, porque le cogería la mano y sería... Oh, it hurts. Vale. Okay, impromptu trip. Just...
Nia.
Mía.
Yeah. That's the ADHD riddled brain out of the whole group for sure.
Pues Nia, venga de viaje, aquí nos vamos. Okay, a planned trip when you need to just,
Oh, when I need like details
Yes.
worked out?
Yeah.
Probably Otzi.
Otzi.
Yeah, she's the smartest out of all of them.
Otzi's muy... I love Otzi. I want to be... I'm not, but but she's like so cool.
Yeah.
Do we see her more?
Oh yeah, she's gonna be a lot of her in the sequels.
Okay, be your wingman / wingwoman. Where's...
I don't know if any of them are good at that. Let me think. Desi, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean-
Desi could just touch someone and like have them be like Twitter pated over me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Desi for sure.
Vale. Pues para ligar, ¿no? Compañero de tal, Desi, obviamente, que es el hijo de amor, entonces claro que aquí estás. To cook with.
Aurelio.
Aurelio.
Yeah.
Aurelio.
He's a very good cook, and everyone thinks that he's joking
Yeah.
about it, but he's like, okay.
En plan, no solo soy guapo, sé cocinar. Yeah, that's
Partidazo.
yeah, that's how you know it's fantasy, because he's hot and cooks.
He's so
Oh,
good with
Yeah,
fire.
exactly. Oh, okay, yeah, to like clean, to have like, what's that?
It's a clean.
Yeah, no, it's like your house is a mess after
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Xochi. Because Xochi is like
Yeah.
the fashionista. She
Yeah.
likes things to be very pretty.
Yeah, claro,
So I think that
Xochi.
she would just
Yeah,
like be a
exactly.
whirlwind through my
Yeah,
apartment.
exactly. Like zen,
There would be
zen,
plants
yeah.
everywhere. There's already plants all over my apartment, but Xochi would
Are
make
they
them
alive?
beautiful. Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
I like that was
kill
one of my
cacti.
pandemic hobbies. I got into plants.
Oh my god. Vale, que, o sea, la pandemia, plantas y están vivas. That's just mine. I kill cacti. I've killed so
It's
many cacti.
A cacti. That's impressive.
No,
Yeah.
but like 4 of them. No, it's not. It's a pattern now.
Those poor little cacti.
Yeah, I know,
Cactus serial killer.
yeah.
Sad.
Anyway. Do you have any?
Yo creo que tú y yo tenemos dudas.
Okay.
Y es que cuando hicimos el quiz nos inventamos sus signos del zodiaco.
Oh, yeah.
Pero estaría bien saberlos.
Okay, yes, because you had to like sort of like guess their horoscope.
Oh my God, I did this. I have it written down somewhere.
You don't remember? I mean, you have to
Oy.
remember some.
I know Nia's a Scorpio because that's just obvious.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Shio, I think, was a Cancer. Max, do
We
you
thought
remember?
Shio was a Scorpio.
Oh, you're looking it up? Great.
We thought
perfecto.
Auristela was a Scorpio.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
we were
like,
Scorpio,
yes,
yeah.
like the most Scorpio of them all.
Yeah.
Which is why they butt heads a lot.
Yeah.
Oh God, I wish I could remember. Oh God,
What is Theo?
if Max can find it.
Yeah.
He's a
would-
Piscis.
Yeah, this is Pisces, yeah.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
For-
that's-
yeah. Big heart.
Sadly for him.
Did you find it?
Ooh. Yay, Max.
Yay! Thank you. I was like, I put this on the internet somewhere.
Okay.
Oh my God, you even found it.
Vale.
Okay, so Teo's a Sagittarius.
Yes.
Nia is Taurus.
yeah,
Forgive
that
me.
makes- yeah,
Aurelio
okay.
is Scorpio, and
Yeah.
Aristella is Scorpio.
Yeah, of course. That makes
Shio is Aquarius, is what I said.
Ooh, you know what? Something has happened to me recently, and yes, I'll say yes. I'll say yes to that.
And then I didn't decide on Ocello, Zochi, Atsi, or
Oh, well.
Marino.
Marino will be Capricorn or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's very...
He's very soft.
Yeah. Anyway, ¿alguien tiene preguntas? ¿Sí?
Thank you.
Bueno, no lo he terminado, pero cuando crea los personajes, sabemos que estamos en pandemia, tal, se piensan a sus amigos, familiares, para describir, yo qué sé, a alguien que sea así, pues es muy guapo y además se lo cree, y el otro menos que es así, pues...
Okay, so basically it's like, yeah, you created this in the pandemic and you had like the visions, but like did you get like stuff from your friends or family like to put in the characters and there's like, oh, this is like a cool friend who's really hot and he knows it, so he, you know, things like that?
A little bit. None of them are like specifically inspired by any of my friends, but I do this thing where, in order to make my characters stand out and be like different, is I steal like tics or like quirks or even like verbal things that I know people do in real life, and I give them to my characters. And a really good example is, Julian from the Cemetery Boys, when he gets, another ADHD kid, but when he gets really excited, he starts repeating things in threes. And that is something that when I was in middle school, my best friend's older brother, Darius, would do that when he got really worked up. So he would be like sitting there telling us a story, and he'd be like, and I tried to tell him, I tried to tell him, I tried to tell him, and then like continue on with the story. So yeah, there's no one like specifically, like no like real person I'm like, oh yeah, that's who that is, but I like stealing things from friends and family, like personality things to make them stand out.
No persona directa, pero sí que cositas, ¿no? De amigos y tal. Por ejemplo, un personaje de Los chicos del cementerio está basado en una cosa que hacía el hermano mayor de su amigo cuando él iba a middle school, que es la secundaria, a la ESO, ¿vale? Que también tiene mucho TDAH, entonces cuando se ponía muy nervioso repetía las cosas 3 veces, ¿no? Es en plan, te voy a decir, te voy a decir, te voy a decir, y luego te lo decía. Entonces, cosas de estas, ¿no? Coger pizquitas, pero no hay nadie que sea en plan, esta es mi prima, no. Entonces,
Bueno, primero que me pillo con el plot twist, así que...
he didn't guess plot twist either.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
I expect another thing, but...
Oh, interesting.
No, mi pregunta es, obviamente tiene que haber un plan para poder hacer todo este cuaderno, ¿no? Pero hay escritores que se hacen llevar más por la trama y otros que hacen como la escaleta más marcada. ¿Dónde se sitúa él?
Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously you have to have a big plan, a sort of image picture to just create the book, but are you one of those writers who really like outlines, or do you just like go with the flow?
So we call that plotters and pantsers. Yeah.
We call it like de mapa or de brújula. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, mapa,
Oh, that's
mapa.
much cuter than
Yeah,
plotters
exactly.
and pantsers.
Yeah, plotters and pantsers.
I'm a hardcore plotter.
Really?
And
Wow.
and it's
How is that?
because I have ADHD and I can't trust myself to just kind of like start going with the flow, because like if this is the path that I should be on, I'll end up over here and I'm like, I don't know how I got here or how to get back over. So I am like a really intense outliner. I think the outline that I wrote for the Sunbearer Trials when I finished was like 32 pages long. Yeah, so they almost kind of start turning into their own draft, and then I kind of just start bulking them out. But yeah, it's really intense. I do like the 15-point beat sheet that Jessica Brody talks about, and then I do chapter breakdowns, and then even within those chapters, scene breakdowns that are really just like every step of the way. Yeah, because otherwise I would just get lost. Like for Cemetery Boys, the first draft I wrote in 6 weeks, and I only did that because I knew exactly what I was doing and like had like blinders on. So if I started going this way, I'd be like, no, back to the plot. Yeah, so it's hard. So very intense plotter.
Bueno, pues no, que él es de mapa a mapa, porque claro, como tiene TDAH, si se deja llevar, pues empieza aquí y acaba en Timbuktu. O sea, en Timbuktu. Entonces, él es mucho de planificar y planificar en plan super hardcore, que dice que la escaleta de este libro eran 32 páginas. que básicamente era ya casi un pequeño borrador y entonces que a partir de ahí pues básicamente lo van guardando y que por ejemplo que Los chicos del cementerio escribió el primer borrador en 6 semanas, pero porque tenía la escaleta súper mega pensada, o sea, no solo la escaleta general, sino hay un método que se llama el 15 beats, que entonces que tienes que buscar en plan las 15 cosas que tienen que pasar en la novela, entonces luego por capítulo y luego por escena. That's mad. That's just okay. That's just like therapy. Y tal, entonces que tiene que planificar mucho porque si no se deja llevar.
Yo, bueno, primero quería agradecer que haya libros así, ¿no? Que escribas libros así, porque sobre todo, bueno, yo trabajo con chavales y lo veo a diario y creo que es súper necesaria la visibilidad en los libros y la diversidad. Y me gusta mucho, sobre todo en tus libros, me gusta que las historias, por ejemplo, los personajes trans, su historia nos la cuentan desde un punto completamente diferente, en el que el tránsito de repente lo descubres Los chicos del cementerio de una manera que no es la común, aquí lo descubres a través de las alas, es como muy bonito, ¿no? Entonces, mi pregunta es, porque para mí ha sido un poco así también, para mí los libros han sido como un ancla, ¿no? En esto de ser parte del colectivo y no verte reflejado cuando eras pequeño y eso. Quiero saber qué opinas tú de la visibilidad de los libros y de cómo igual te ha afectado a ti o no la visibilidad en los libros. Ahora que, por ejemplo, has multado en una librería por vender un cómic como Hellstopper, tal, ¿no? Entonces, ahora que hay toda esta represión y esta censura con los libros, ¿cómo lo ves?
Did you get it or do you want
I can get like half
Okay,
of it.
okay.
You guys talk very fast.
I'm very like Spanish, Castilian, which is
Yeah.
Así muy bonito, por cierto. So basically, he first wants to thank you because he is a member of the LGBT community, but also like he works with young people. So he feels like it's super important to have books like this with true diversity and true characters and seeing and being able to see like the trans experience from very different points of views and incorporating it. And he also says that it's awesome how you just go about it in a very different way than what it's typical and how the characters find out in your books it's not very typical, like for example in Cemetery Boys how it happened here with the wings. That was like that was so cute. And yeah, so he shares that he also didn't see himself represented in these books, and so he wants to ask like, how do you feel about diversity and how and why is it important and how it should be done, and also how do you feel now that there's so many books that are being censored or taken out of bookstores and libraries, and how do you feel about all that?
Cemetery Boys is banned in some conservative states in the United States, so I know all about book bans. I think it's so funny because when Cemetery Boys came out, it hit the New York Times bestseller list, which was very exciting, but it was the first book about a trans character written by a trans author to ever hit the New York Times bestseller list. I didn't know that until it happened. And it was very exciting, obviously. Like that's one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me in my life. But also it was 2020 and we hadn't had a trans story that wasn't nonfiction that hit the New York Times bestseller list. And it was a bummer. And it's lit this spark in me so now like whenever I know that there's a trans book coming out, I love to get an early edition so I can read it and then I can blurb it and tell people about it and get more attention. So since Cemetery Boys came out, we've had 2 other trans authors who have hit the New York Times bestseller list, Jason June and AJ White, which is very cool and exciting. And like I blurbed both of those books, so I got to like help do that. So it's just, especially in the United States where queer people, but especially kids, are being met with not just hostility, but violence. It's so important to kind of just keep putting these books out. It changes how I move within publishing and what I do with my stories. Like, I know a big thing for a lot of young readers who have reached out to me, they're always worried that the copy, the jacket copy or the cover will have something that's queer on it, and then that makes that book unsafe for them to like have at school or in their home. So one of the many things that I try to like do to combat all of that is this. I have already seen the cover for the sequel, and it's beautiful, but it's also very gay. And so I'm working with my cover artist to make an alternative cover, so that's safe in that it just has the characters on it. They're not like, trying to kiss each other or whatever. But so that those kids can buy that jacket copy and put it on their book and not have to worry about getting, clocked or whatever. So it's heartbreaking to kind of live in the world that we're living in right now, especially in the United States. But it's also just so rewarding. I feel like I have a purpose. And I take my job very seriously. And the things that like, when I am trying to like get through a really hard draft, or like if someone terrible has called me out online, and any number of things, it's hard because it's like one negative thing can negate like 10 beautiful things. So what I do is I have a lot of readers who will message me on Instagram, and I will read through my requests, and I'll take screenshots of like, messages from kids being like, this was the first time I saw a trans person, or like, this book helped me realize that I was queer. And I've had a few young people who have, when they chose their new name, chose characters from my books, which is just the coolest thing ever. So I like keep screenshots of those, and I keep them in an album on my phone. So when I'm feeling like really down, or like I'm like, why am I even doing this? I pull that up and like remind myself. So the whole reason I do this is for queer kids, and especially Mexican kids also, because they also have it really hard in the United States. It's super important to me, and my focus always goes back to what can I do to best serve my community, as opposed to like, what do I, like how, instead of like obsessing over how it's affecting me personally, because that's not what really matters. Like, my community is what matters most to me, and that's always going to be my priority. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna...
That was a lot, sorry. I'm gonna take some water.
Bueno, obviamente para él esto es algo súper importante que se toma muy en serio, porque como dices, ¿no? Él tampoco se sentía representado y por ejemplo, cuando salió Los chicos del cementerio, llegó al número 1 llegó a la lista del New York Times, y fue como un gran momento porque fue el primer autor trans con un personaje trans que llegaba al New York Times, pero era 2020, o sea, muy bien, pero also muy mal, porque un poco triste, ¿no? Entonces siempre que van a salir libros de autores trans o con personajes trans, pues él pide que le mandes copias por adelantado para poder hacer una cita, poder hablar del libro, poder ayudar un poco a visibilizar estos autores y darles un poco más de plataforma, ¿no? Y desde entonces pues ha habido 2 autores más trans que han salido y que han llegado al New York Times, que está muy bien, pero bueno, o sea, hasta cierto punto es un poco triste. Pero bueno, también es bonito, ¿no? Entonces también lo que él se ha encontrado es que ahora está pues mirando cómo llevar su viaje editorial de la mejor manera posible. Por ejemplo, pues ha hablado con lectores que le han comentado que, si la portada es muy gay, pues eso puede ser complicado para los niños porque igual no pueden llevar el libro por los sitios, porque les podrían hacer bullying o cualquier cosa. Entonces, por ejemplo, para el segundo, que sí que tiene una portada muy gay, ahora está trabajando con... ¿Is Mars again? Con Mars, la ilustradora que hace trabajos tremendos, para hacer también una versión de la portada que sea más segura y para que los lectores puedan disfrutarla, ¿no? Que es un poco triste que pase esto. De hecho, Los chicos del cementerio está censurado en varios estados ahora mismo. Pero bueno, que él siente que él está aquí para la comunidad, todo lo que hace es para la comunidad, o sea, que no piensa tanto en él y en su situación, sino en lo que puede hacer para la comunidad. Entonces, para él eso es lo más importante. Entonces, cuando tiene un momento de que ve un mensaje de hate por internet o pues están súper atascados con la escritura, pues bueno, pues va a Instagram, a los mensajes y tiene un montón de capturas de mensajes que le han recibido, que le han mandado lectores diciéndole que era la primera vez que veía un personaje trans, o que gracias a su libro se han dado cuenta de que eran queer, o que al escoger su nuevo nombre van a coger uno de los nombres de los personajes, y entonces, bueno, tiene todo esto guardado, y para, bueno, los días malos pues puede leer eso y acordarse de por qué lo hace, porque ahora mismo eso. Entonces, honrar, digamos, su identidad como persona trans y también su identidad como persona mexicana, que también en Estados Unidos, pues ahí justito cómo va el tema.
We have elections actually this week.
Oh, yeah?
And, general elections, and it's gonna be like down to the wire. And and if the right wins, it's gonna be so fucked up.
O sea, que todo el mundo, o sea, me da igual, sé que somos todos de izquierdas, pero hay que votar a Pedro Sánchez.
Creo que aquí...
Ya, pero a Pedro Sánchez, pero a Pedro Sánchez que nos quiten al otro, por favor. Ahora sí me queda. I just said who they have to vote for. He's not my choice, but he's the least.
Yeah, lesser of two evils.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perdón. ¿Alguna pregunta más?
Si tuviera que elegir una canción para 3 de sus personajes, vamos a decir así, ¿qué canciones elegiría?
Okay. So 3 characters, and which song represents them? Like for 3 of this.
For what? Sorry.
For 3 characters. 3 characters, like any character that you want.
Yes.
Of your characters, and like which song would be like.
Oh, a song.
Sorry.
Oh, I was like,
Song.
oh, let me think.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so hard. I feel like Nia would, it's not a particular song, but anything by Hayley Kiyoko, who is like very cute, also a queer singer, and she writes these beautiful queer songs, like sapphic songs, and oh my god, just the best. I want to say for Shio, it would be like an anime opening credit song, like My Hero Academia, probably.
This is a
Yes. And I would say Teo is Bad Bunny, probably. Like, just like that kind of energy and the like, boom, like it's giving Bad Bunny. Yeah. It's giving Aurelio, like, I don't think he listens to music. He just watches YouTube all the time. Yeah. And then Aristella is like only like the most powerful of pop songs. So like not Taylor Swift, but like
a fight song or something.
Yeah. Like intense gym music, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Solamente para decirle que es súper importante lo que ha hecho con el cementerio como traductor del sol, porque no solamente es importante que haya reputación LGBTQ en la literatura juvenil o ganador, sino también que sea positiva y empoderador, que lo en estos 2 casos. Nosotros venimos de Granada, somos de una asociación de arcoíris y yo me encargo de la parte cultural de LGBTQ de literatura. Y uno de los proyectos que tenemos es llevar literatura juvenil y de ganador a espacios rurales. Literatura LGBTQ+, y claro, el chico del cementerio es como el que más arrasa dentro, tanto en ese momento, me preguntan mucho por él, aunque luego en ese momento no se lo llevan por el tema de la portada, por lo que hemos estado hablando, pero sin duda todas las semanas siempre nos escriben hablándonos sobre el libro, de cómo se llamaba, y no solamente la adolescencia fluidita, para decirle lo mucho que lleva, sino también familiares, familiares que se han trasladado a sus sobrinos, su hijo, su hija, su hija, y han dicho que por fin han visto que un libro con connotación tanto queer como trans ha sido positivo, empoderador y que se ha sentido como dentro del mundo de fantasía muy global. Simplemente tratar de eso.
So nice. Anyway, they come all the way from Granada, which is in the south, so like far. Yeah. And he works with LGBT youth and to take culture and books and stuff to rural areas. Oh yeah. So and he loves that your books, Sam Bear and also Cemetery Boys, are not only
representation, but also positive and empowering representation.
Yeah.
Right? And he says that he wants to tell you that he's gotten like so many comments and that so many readers, like some of them were a bit worried about the covers, like you said.
Yeah.
But they've gotten past that and they talk about the books all the time and they've been like sharing them with people from their families who are not even LGBT. So it's just the book and just the story and the fact that can do so much.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. It makes me so happy. Yeah, it's the coolest. Oh, God.
That's awesome. I think we all need a hug.
Yeah, right.
¿Alguien más? Sí, venga.
Yo no he leído Los chicos del cementerio, lo leeré.
Okay, yes.
Pero quiero, Perdidos a Nunca Jamás y Los pruebas del sol es un registro, a pesar de ser fantasías, como muy diferente. O sea, no sabría describir en una palabra. Es que es oscuro, pero es triste. Es que tampoco es triste. No sé. Es muy diferente. Entonces, ahora está escribiendo la segunda parte, entiendo. Él se siente cómodo escribiendo diferentes tipos de fantasía, qué es lo que más le ha gustado, qué es lo que le gustaría seguir trabajando con ello. Si es más intenso o es más aventurero.
Okay. So she says that she has read both. She's halfway through the Sunbury Trials, so well, no spoilers, and Lost in the Neverwoods. And she said that they're very different books and very typical. You know, like one is more like about feelings and moving and intense, and this is more like action and stuff. And she wanted to know like if you feel more comfortable with one type of book or the other one, and where do you think your writing is taking you? Chun chun.
I love that question. It's funny because when you enter American publishing, the publisher is like, we need to figure out your brand. We need to figure out what kind of books that you write, and like that's what we're gonna like do. And I was like, okay. And like I have been all over the place because I like to read so many different kinds of books. So like Lost in the Neverwoods is, a fairy tale retelling. Then Cemetery Boys is urban fantasy. And then I was like high fantasy. I have also written a contemporary romance that'll come out in a couple of years. And then after that, I'm writing a sci-fi book. So it's like, I'm all over the place. And they all have their challenges, but so far, I am most comfortable in the Cemetery Boys realms, like the more urban fantasy, just because like it's set where I grew up in California, and high fantasy is just so hard because it's like whenever we walk into a room, I suddenly have to explain everything. I have to tell you what it looks like, how things work, especially going to all the different like cities within the Sunbury Trials. It's like, okay, now I have to spend like 10% of this book just like describing things to you. So while it's really fun and rewarding, it's very challenging. And Lost in the Neverwoods, that's a very emotions-heavy book. So that one was like, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I wrote it when I was in a very dark place in my life, because that book is basically just about trauma. And so that one was hard to write just because of the heavy topics and a lot of emotions behind it. So yeah, I would say urban fantasy is my favorite because you know what a city street looks like. I don't have to explain it to you. I can just I get to focus more on the characters and like the bad jokes and stuff like that and the magic. Yeah.
Bueno, dice que le encanta esta pregunta porque en el panorama de publicación editorial de Estados Unidos, a la que la editorial te pilla y dice, vale, ¿cuál es tu marca? ¿Dónde te vamos a colocar? ¿No? Y entonces él, bueno, pues Cemetery Boys es urban fantasy, esto es fantasía épica, Lost in the Neverwoods es un retelling, dentro de 2 años tiene un romance contemporáneo, that's news, y después de eso va a hacer un libro de ciencia ficción, con lo cual él, por toda... That's your ADHD.
Oh yeah, just wherever my brain goes.
Pero...
Yeah. Very excited for that.
Pero que el sitio en el que él se siente más cómodo es en la fantasía urbana, ¿no? Porque, bueno, y especialmente... Los chicos del cementerio, porque pasa en California, que es donde él es, entonces, bueno, sí que puede centrarse en los personajes, en las cosas, en los chistes malos y tal, porque claro, en las pruebas del sol, que le gusta mucho y es muy divertido, pero claro, a la que llegas a una ciudad, abres una puerta, entonces tienen que explicártelo todo, en plan, vale, ahora tengo que explicarte esto cómo va y tal, entonces que es muy bien, pero also tal. Entonces, claro, si está haciendo los chicos del cementerio, no tiene que explicarte lo que es una farola. O sea que eso, que por tema de cercanía, donde por ahora se siente más cómodo es en la fantasía urbana.
Una curiosidad, ¿en el libro se mantienen las palabras en castellano? Exacto.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing. Because like in English, it's like really cool because like you can write in English and then you put like a Spanish word and so fun. Like for us, it's like
I know.
we were like.
I think about that all the time. I even like brought that up to my friends the other day. I was like, I wonder what the other publishers do when I have like random Spanish in there, especially if it's a Spanish publisher. Like, how is that even?
I mean, no, it's fine.
A little bit.
No, básicamente lo que hemos hecho es que cuando eran palabras que por contexto eran normales, pues lo dejamos tal, y cuando era una cosa que realmente tenía que llamar la atención, que cursiva. Ya está. Como si fuera una palabra extranjera. Bueno, cosas que pasan. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just like telling this because I learned it when I went to France, but my French publisher, a lesbian couple translated it, and I was like, shut up, that is perfect. I was so excited. And I got to meet Zoe, one of them, who was like just so sweet. And I was like, I had no idea that lesbians translated my book for me, and I'm so happy. I can't think of something more perfect.
Well, Bai corrected that one, and then the copy edit was done by Marcus, who's gay. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
See, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, we had to. We did
It's
that.
exciting.
We did that very consciously. Any other questions, or we go for the signing? Yeah? Yes. Sí.
Me llamó mucho la atención el diseño de los dioses. Sobre todo el de, no me acuerdo si era la elección, se llamaba la del laberinto. Opción, gracias. Iba a cambiar de tal. Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo llegó a imaginar cada dios con la forma que tiene cada uno?
Yeah, he was like super impressed with the gods and their forms and everything, and choice and opción. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so, how do you come up with that? And you know, their physical appearance, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think like once I came up with like gods that I needed for a chapter or a scene, whatever, it was just kind of getting to play in my brain and like spitballing really bad ideas with my friends until like I came up with something really cool. So opción was really fun to be like, that kind of turned into my gender fluid character, right? Because they can just change how they look. So yeah, it was just really fun things like that, and like with mala suerte and like having, you know, the evil eye, which is something that's common among a bunch of different cultures in the world. So I thought that was really cool. It was just like I'm like trying to think. It's just like I always come up with really good ideas when I can't write something down conveniently. It's like in the car or in the shower. My birthday was a few days ago, and my friends got me a waterproof notepad for being in the shower, because I would literally be in the shower, and then I'd like shout for one of them and be like, Alex, can you write this down? So it just comes like totally randomly, and it's that was what was so extra fun about writing the Sunbearer Trials, is that I got to come up with all these really cool gods and like what they looked like and how they interacted with people, and even just like their personalities. It was really, really fun. It was a good time.
Bueno, pues básicamente una vez que tenían el dios que necesitaba para el capítulo o para la escena y tal, bueno, pues entonces empezaba pues a soltar cosas, a ver y a soltar ideas malas hasta que se le ocurría algo que estaba bien, ¿no? Y en el caso de opción, pues obviamente como es, digamos, el dios de las decisiones, pues claro, tenía todo el sentido del mundo que fuera no binario, porque puede cambiar de opinión y de aspecto en cualquier momento, ¿no? Y entonces, bueno, básicamente pues eso es darle vueltas a la cosa hasta que le sale algo que está bien. Entonces, por ejemplo, mala suerte también pues usó el tema del ojo maldito, que no es solo de la cultura azteca, sino que también hay otras muchas culturas que lo utilizan. Y luego pues con otros dioses tal. Entonces la cosa es que él tiene la cosa esta de que siempre se le ocurren cosas en malos momentos, ¿no? Cuando no tiene nada para apuntar, y como hace la semana pasada fue su cumple, le han regalado una pizarra resistente al agua para que le tengan a la ducha, porque le ha pasado varias veces que está en la ducha, se le ocurre algo y llama al compañero: ¡Ale! ¡Apunta esto! ¡Que va a ser brillante! Y ahora pues ni para que ya no hagan esto le han puesto una pizarrita en la bañera. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Y eso. Pues muchísimas gracias. Ahora podemos poner... ¡Ay!
Thank you so much.
Ahora podéis firmar. ¿Hay comida? That's important. I'm dying for another croissant. Muchísimas gracias a todos por venir. Si no le habéis dado una oportunidad a este libro, por favor, dársela y darle todo el amor a Aiden que se merece, porque es muy guay.
Thank you guys so much. Such good questions.